Hello and welcome to GC360. I'm Elliot Payne.
And I'm Meredith Barnes. Last weekend's homecoming events were unexpectedly cold and wet. But there was some liquid sunshine, as we say, for the music, games, and get-togethers.
One of the big get-togethers, the crowning of a new Mr. and Mrs. Georgia College. They'll be in the studio to chat with us about their new elite status.
The new title holders weren't the only notable people we had the chance to catch up with. Last weekend, one of our reporters sat down with the headlining bands from the homecoming concert to talk about their exhilarating careers.
All of that and much more right here on GC360.
The homecoming concert on Friday night was a huge success. With the White Kids opening for Jared Neiman and Gloriana, more than 2,000 tickets were sold. What may surprise you about these bands is how they carry themselves on and off stage. Our reporter, Megan Rochester, had the opportunity to sit down with the headlining bands just minutes before the show.
Are you excited to perform in front of students? Do you do it often?
I guess there's students in every crowd each night, and probably not as many as tonight, but we always love playing colleges because, I always felt like I never got out of college. So our songs kind of reflect that. And I love being on the road, love being in new places. Obviously, looking forward to be here tonight, and I know we're going to have a good time.
We've done a lot of colleges over the past couple of years. We actually kind of asked our booking agent to book more of them for us because we have so much fun playing for colleges. I don't know what it is about you guys, but the crowds are always really into the show and
very energetic.
I feel like maybe something just about our particular music for our particular band seems to connect really well with the college age crowd. And we're all still college kids in our minds, so yeah. We're still spring breaking it.
Gloriana certainly lived up to their spring breaker reputation on the stage that night. One of the most tweeted about moments from their performance was when they announced to the crowd that they wanted to help the audience get some. The concert certainly reflected their confidence, but the band is still very modest about their success.
I don't think we've ever really had that, like, wow, we've made it moment. Okay. And in a lot of ways, I don't know that we ever really will. To us, it's just kind of, for this band, there's really no ceiling. We're always really trying to work hard and coming up with new goals and everything like that we're trying to reach. So sometimes we are a little bit surprised and taken aback, when opportunities come up that are so huge, or when people show up to our shows, or our songs do well on the radio. So it's constantly just all of this excitement, but again, there's also that same element to it where we're just constantly wanting to remind ourselves where we came from and that we need to work even harder every single day.
Your new album that came out, what was your biggest influence?
I think having horns. A lot of folks don't realize that horns have been in country music for over 10 years before the steel guitar was even invented. In the 30s, Bob Wills and his Texas Playboys incorporated horns into country music, and so we wanted to, and throughout the years, they've been used many times, but we wanted to pay homage to that part of country music's history, and then so every single song on our new album has at least some sort of brass instrument on it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for meeting with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Very proud to be here. Let's have some fun.
All right. And can we get a Go Bobcats?
Go Bobcats!
Hey, this is Gloriana at Georgia College.
Go Bobcats!
Rain came down during the homecoming tailgate event on Saturday afternoon, but it didn't bring down students with it. Tents from various organizations covered a grassy swampland between the dorms before the homecoming game began. What was surprising about the tailgate was the lack of supervision. Free alcoholic beverages poured out from open bars at various Greek tents. No wristbands or indicators for the appropriate drinking age were used. One fraternity even made an ice luge where alcohol was poured from the top to slide down the slope into the mouth of the drinking tailgater. Police officers and student life director Tom Miles were at the event, but we saw no action being taken.
One of the highlights of homecoming was the crowning of the new Mr. and Miss Georgia College. It all happens at an energized Centennial Arena. Reporter Lizzie Miller was there.
Homecoming week is always one of the most intense and spirited weeks of the year. This year was no exception as the various campus organizations battled for the title of Mr. and Miss Georgia College. Homecoming campaigning for the Mr. and Miss began Sunday, February 17th at 12:01 a.m. and voting started Wednesday, February 20th at 12:01 a.m. as well. This year marked a historic year for Georgia College students as we achieved the highest voting percentage in all of Georgia with an outstanding 36% of the student body voting. Homecoming week was filled with baked goods, pizza, cotton candy, and other goodies being handed out as incentives to those undecided voters. Each organization put a substantial amount of time and work into their campaigns. The race was so close for Miss Georgia College that after the first day of voting, the top 3 candidates were only 3 votes apart. At the homecoming game on Saturday, I spoke with last year's Mr. and Miss, Ross Daniel and Sarah Mead, about what this past year has meant to them before they handed down their crowns to the newest winners.
It means so much to me to be Mr. Georgia College, just because it's a chance to represent this entire school.
It's such an honor to be representing Kappa Delta and the Sassy Cats last year.
But I'm so proud to call myself a Bobcat, and now I'm just so excited that I got to serve for a year as the face of Georgia College.
And I've had a great year with Ross. I grew up with him, so it was great to get crowned.
At the conclusion of the game, former Georgia College SGA President Evan Kronovich announced the winner for Mr. Georgia College, Thad Thompson.
Your Mr. Georgia College for 2013 is Mr. Thad Thompson.
And Mackenzie Burgess was crowned Miss Georgia College.
Your winner, representing the ladies of Zeta Tau.
I am excited right now, and so going through my mind, I hope there's a lot I can do, for the community and for the students.
Thad Thompson is president of the Kappa Alpha fraternity here on campus and felt very honored to hold the title of Mr. Georgia College.
I'm just a big old rascal. I don't do too much. I have had the honor and privilege of working with the Give Center on many different things. I serve on the Give team, and I worked with the Georgia College Miracle this year on the through different things that I helped at the dance marathon event. It's so amazing. I feel so blessed. I started here. This is a young guy from Young Harris last fall, and Georgia College has been so welcoming to me, and just so I feel so honored to be here.
Awesome. Who would you like to thank?
Number one, Jesus, and that's my main. He's my homeboy. It all goes to him. All week I've just been praying that just to be humbled by him, and my family and my girlfriend. So. And my fraternity, Kappa Alpha Order, of course. You got to represent the boys. Yeah. Teachings of Robert E. Lee.
Miss Georgia College, Mackenzie Burgess, is a sister of the Zeta Tau Alpha sorority, as well as very involved in the campus outreach ministries, among other activities.
I am completely blown away. I don't think I was expecting it. I am just really honored to represent Zeta, and I know that it means so much to them, and it means a lot to my family. And I guess just representing the school is incredible, and I'm just really excited. I would like to thank my little first, her name's Sammy C, and she just helped so much in Fidelis. She was my PR chair for this campaign, and Zeta as a whole, they're just incredible women, and so it's so good to represent them. They've been behind me this whole time, and I guess just I have a lot of other good friends that aren't in Zeta that really helped support me too, and my family.
This place was packed last Saturday when Evan Kronovich announced a very noticeable mistake.
Representing the ladies of Fondue, Miss Shelby.
The cue card read that the runner-up was Shelby Dillon from Phi Mu, when in fact Shelby Dillon was a representative for Kappa Delta. We hope everyone had a great homecoming week, and we would like to congratulate Thad and Mackenzie on their well-deserved win. For GC360, I'm Lizzie Miller.
Students have elected Victoria Faree as the SGA president for the 2013 to 2014 academic year. 36% of the population participated in the voting this year, which is an almost 11% increase from last year's polls. Faree enters her presidency with a specific plan of action diversify SGA representation from the current heavy representation from fraternities and sororities. She plans to work closely with President Dorman to ensure the college is proportionally represented, and SGA is doing its job to represent the entire student body. With the help of the senators and the exec board, Faree says SGA can start to educate more organizations on campus about what SGA really does and ways to make it a more effective organization. She takes office May 15th.
On Wednesday night, the Mass Communication Department's Advanced Media Production class held a premiere party for the short film they created. It's called Love Always. The short film is a compilation of scenes from famous romantic movies like Casablanca and The Notebook. And spoiler alert, there was a twist in addition to Food from Metropolis. There was a raffle in which attendees had the chance to win prizes. The film will be submitted to the Bald Shorts Film Festival in April.
Crime and what to do about it may be something for SGA to think about. Some students choose to take matters into their own hands. That story is coming up right after the break. Welcome back. With all the talk about guns and gun control, we wondered how Georgia College students felt about the issue. So we sent reporter Tristan Harrison to find out.
Guns. They're a hot topic on campus and across the nation. With the recent shooting on Clark Street, we wanted to check with students to see how they felt about arming themselves in their homes. Seth Patterson is a mass comm student at Georgia College who chooses to arm himself with a handgun in his own apartment. We asked him for his opinion on the situation.
Well, the real reason I have a gun here is for self-defense. I know it's a real small chance that anything would happen, but just in case it does, like we've seen in the last 2 weeks, a break-in, I want to be armed and ready if that happens.
The Colony reported this past month that a law that states that anyone living within 1,000 feet of Georgia College campus could not own a gun had been repealed in 2010. Current law states that while anyone living in any distance from the college can own a gun, it can never be brought onto college property unless law states otherwise. We chose to take to the streets and ask Georgia College students that, if they had the chance, would they choose to arm themselves in their own home?
I would arm myself if I was alone in my apartment, and I guess maybe not in college right now, because I guess I trust the campus. But, you know, if I lived in a bigger city, I would definitely have a gun.
I probably would not, just because I live in a gated community now, and if I had a gun or a weapon, I probably would not know how to use it and probably be putting myself in more danger than I actually was.
I think if I had the funds provided, I would definitely arm myself, but I also think as far as the whole gun control issue goes, that there's no need for anybody really to own like an AK-47 or a bazooka or anything like that. But I think a simple handgun, something purely for self-defense or sport, is perfectly acceptable. And if I had the money to afford a nice gun, I would probably invest in one, especially with shootings and things like that around the area where I live.
I would definitely arm myself with a gun after the shooting. I think that's just a safety precaution, especially since I'm a girl. I would feel safer if there was a gun in the house.
I would have a gun in my apartment because people are mean and scary and you have to protect yourself.
I'm not sure if I would want to be armed with a gun or not, because I'm not sure if it would be helpful or if it would not. So if I were to have a weapon, I would just be scared that that would influence, like if I was to be in danger, whether or not somebody would shoot at me or because I have the gun. So there's benefits and other things that aren't so beneficial.
There are clear pros and cons to having people arm themselves close to campus. However, the issue will always remain controversial. We'll see how it pans out in the future and how regulations will affect Georgia College campus life. Reporting for GC360, I'm Tristan Harrison.
There is a saying that you can only understand someone's life if you've walked a mile in his or her shoes. Georgia College gave the campus an opportunity to do just that with a simulation of the life of a person in poverty. Our reporter, Lindsay Peterson, checked out the event.
A lot of college students complain about being poor, so I went to see what it's truly like to live in poverty at Georgia College's poverty simulation.
Just people that work here.
I'm here with Melanie Hutchinson, who's the head of the poverty simulation. What can you tell me about the poverty simulation?
The poverty simulation is hosted by the nonprofit Leadership Student Alliance on campus, and really we just want to kind of bring awareness to students at Georgia College about poverty that's going on in Milledgeville and really all over the country. You start at our table and you get an identity, and your identity, we've made up a list of different possible options.
I'm a 17-year-old female who just found out I'm pregnant. I want to keep the baby, and my parents stopped supporting me, and I moved into my boyfriend's house. I dropped out of high school to get a job to support my new family.
And the first table we have is DFACS, which is the Department of Family and Children's Services of Georgia, and we talk about different things you can get, like welfare and temporary assistance for needy families, food stamps, all kinds of stuff like that. We have the thrift store, and we have our soup kitchen, we have our unemployment table. We talk about different job opportunities, how someone would go about finding a job. And then our final table is our Act Now table, where we have an actual list of places and people can contact to go volunteer at these agencies that are actually working in Milledgeville to help these issues. This is also part of 1 week, which is a bigger idea. It's actually called 1 week, but it's this whole week, and we've got different campus organizations such as Gamma Sigma who are putting on events like a 30-hour famine and a canned food drive, and this all just ways to raise awareness about poverty on campus.
Today I learned about the harsh realities of living in poverty. Luckily for me, it was just a simulation. Reporting for GC360, I'm Lindsay Peterson.
Poverty is a problem in many African American communities, but so is intellectual neglect. University of Kansas professor Mary Emma Graham made that point in a lecture this Tuesday, Georgia College campus this past week. She talked about it how African American writings have been largely disregarded and excluded from modern American writing and college curriculums. Dr. Graham says a true liberal arts college curriculum would incorporate more of the works of black authors. There's more in her book, In the Life of the Black Book, a narrative for the 21st century. Stick around. We have an interview with the new Mr. and Mrs. Georgia College right after the break. And we'll introduce you to a farmer with a green mission. All that and more on GC360. Now it's time to bring Carolina Classens into the newscast. What's new this week, Carolina?
What do you think of when you hear the word organic? Fresh, healthy, popular? Our own Payne Inman takes us into the life of a local farmer and her desire to give the community a deeper understanding of what it really means to be green.
Debbie Waugh is a farmer, but not an ordinary farmer. She's an organic farmer, and she relies on solar energy. Her products are all natural.
Today at the market we have lots of our homemade jams and jellies. We have t-shirts. We have lots of naturally grown onions, mixed greens.
She comes to the Greenway to sell her wares, but for Debbie, it's as much about promoting organic farming as about selling her products.
And I have an educational farm about 15 minutes from here where we teach sustainability and young people how to grow food and live sustainably.
Debbie takes pride in sharing what she knows, and she works with many volunteers. To Salamander Springs Farm, it's about more than just farming. It's about the valuable knowledge of sustainability that others can benefit from. For GC360 News, I'm Payne Inman.
With hands shaking and hearts pounding, candidates stood in mid-court in Centennial on Saturday afternoon awaiting the announcement of the new Mr. and Miss Georgia College. I'm joined with the lucky two winners, Thad Thompson and Mackenzie Burgess now. Welcome, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us. So let's jump right into that moment. What crossed your mind when you were named Mr. and Miss Georgia College? What was going through your head?
Gosh, well, you know, for me, I guess they read it wrong. You know, just an old rascal. I didn't think I'd ever have a shot at you know, the title, and I still don't feel deserving of it. But I am honored. And at that time, I was pretty much just saying, "Party on!" Let's do this. So.
That's awesome. I was confused just because Evan said FIMU's candidate Shelby Dillon, so I thought that the winner was Shelby Dillon, and he just missed the order, and so I was like, wait, and I was just really, it just was a mess of confusion but excitement.
Well,
so
now that it's confirmed you did win, y'all both won. What are you planning to do with your title?
Oh gosh, that's a great question, and one that we've actually been talking about a little bit. You know, we really want to do something awesome for the community, just a community outreach type deal. I mean, we have a couple different ideas that we've been working on, and what are some different things that we've been.
Well, a lot of people don't know. Actually, a lot of people have asked me, what is it like? What does it mean? Do you get perks for being like Mr.
That'd
I'm
be
like,
awesome.
no.
Yeah.
It's an honor to have the title, but I think our main responsibility, and I think our only one, besides being the face of or whatever, is doing a service project for the community at some point during the year that we're Mr. and Mrs. Georgia College. So like Thad was just saying, we are in charge of doing something like that, and we've been talking about it.
And would just y'all do it, or would the people who supported you and kind of carried you through this campaign, would they be involved as well, or anyone? Or?
That's a great question because you know, we talked about there's many different groups that supported us to get to this point, but I do feel that we represent. Definitely Mackenzie does a great job doing this. I don't know about me, but try to represent the whole school. So we'd love to get the entire school on board and with really doing something awesome for the community and for Georgia College.
Well, that sounds great, and I'm very excited to see what y'all are going to bring to the table. Now, when we return, Nick Landon closes out the season for basketball at Georgia College. Stay right here.
Welcome back. Now it's time to take a look into the world of sports with Nick Landon. What's up this week, Nick?
Thanks, Elliot. Well, guys, this week in sports, the men's basketball team lost their homecoming game by the hand of the third-ranked Montevallo Falcons and are playing their last two season games tonight and Saturday. This weekend's game is also senior day for the basketball team. And while the men's basketball playoff picture is looking a little bleak, the women's basketball team still has a shot. Our girls are currently just outside of the top four in the conference and will be playing tonight at Landler to break even with North Georgia, who currently holds that coveted number 4 spot. If North Georgia loses tonight, the Bobcats face 2 hurdles, Landler, and then Armstrong at home this weekend. Both very winnable games. The GC softball team, now 11-9, recovered from a 4-game cold streak this weekend, taking 3 of their last 4 with the help of senior pitcher and Georgia College Athlete of the Week, Danny Gallucci. Our own Ross Bailey had a chance to sit down and talk with her.
The Georgia College softball team is led by a talented group of seniors. Among them is pitcher Danny Gallucci, whose terrific performance last weekend both in the circle and at the plate earned her the honor of Bobcat Athlete of the Week. However, the Orlando native may have never even arrived at Georgia College had it not been for her previous relationship with Coach Jamie Gradecki.
Well, I played for her my freshman year at junior college at St. Pete in Florida, and she had got this job my sophomore year. So then I applied here my junior year, and just most of my friends are here. 2 of the girls I play with at junior college also transferred up here with me, so that helped a lot. One of the girls, Natalie, she's also from Orlando, so we kind of have that whole family away from home kind of thing. And my parents, they come to a lot of games, so that helps a lot. They're definitely my biggest supporters. They always just tell me to have fun, keep my head up. Like, they're just always there, and they are hard on me at times, like, oh, you went 0 for the weekend. I was like, thanks, Mom. Like, I know, like, thank you for that. But it's just love-hate. They know that I can take it, and they're just, them being at a lot of the games really helps me, too, because it's like they're my support. So it's kind of that rock that keeps me going. Coach is always on top of us about grades and schoolwork, so that helps a lot. She's definitely hard on us at times, which is good in a coach, but she also has her fun side where, so it kind of balances out. Like, she's hard on us, she pushes us when we need to be pushed, but she can also be like laid back and relaxed when she needs to be. So it's a good, it keeps us prepared and on our toes and keeps us to our maximum potential when we play.
Well, that's all for sports this week. Back to you, Elliot.
Thanks for tuning in this week. Be sure to check in with us next week to hear about all your news on the Georgia College campus and around the Milledgeville community.
But before you tune in next week, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at GC360 News, or our website at www.gc360.com for full episodes, interviews, behind the scenes, pictures, and much more.
Until next week, I'm Elliot Payne.
And I'm Meredith Barnes. We'll see you next week.